As a housing provider who's been in this sector for nearly 30 years, it is abundantly clear that we know that community housing saves lives. We know that if we provide stable and secure homes, that people who are most vulnerable to this affordable housing crisis need to find that sense of safety. We know that housing is a human right, and that it is also a key part of reconciliation.
But truth and reconciliation is about letting go of those old myths, letting go of the stereotypes and the common belief that Indigenous people lack capacity or lack expertise.
The concept of reconciliation equaling economic reconciliation. And that means that we make space purposefully for Indigenous peoples and organizations at your tables.
When we see governments fail to recognize the depth of the crisis that we're really in and pick the low-hanging fruit, what we end up with is performative decision-making and not really true human rights, justice-based decision-making.
And without affordable housing and safe places for our people to rest, our overall economy suffers. Now, we also know that having more community housing benefits all people in Canada by improving economic productivity.
We came together as a sector actually in 2019 to lobby the BC government to invest in purpose-built affordable rentals because of what we saw happen in the market, in the real estate market, in the rental market, where people that were living in what used to be purpose-built affordable rentals were being rent evicted, speculative buyers, foreign investments.
That we created the first ever provincial urban, rural, and northern Indigenous housing strategy that has been created in the country of Canada. That strategy calls for a $7.3 billion investment in the province of BC alone for the increasing of 20,000 affordable housing units for urban Indigenous people only in British Columbia. But it also included a wholesome look at the ecosystem of housing. So it also focused on capital renewal. How do we maintain the existing stock so that people live in a place of dignity and can age in place and thrive in place? It also included the concept of home ownership, because we know that we have a good population of Indigenous peoples that are ready to enter, or were ready pre-COVID, pre-economic crisis, to enter the real estate market, and that they just needed a little bit of a support to actually enter into that real estate market. That strategy has been heralded across Canada from our federal Crown Corp. CMHC is the baseline for all of Canada. It has also been studied by another cross-national research that said that that strategy is the proxy for all of Canada. Urban Indigenous people deserve an equal seat at the economic tables of this country. And that doesn't matter whether you're First Nations, Métis, Inuit status, non-status, or status unknown, because we know that the legacy of colonialism has marginalized our Indigenous populations far and wide and is undisputed.
The real power of solutions that are for Indigenous people need to be led by Indigenous people. And that not only includes the design, it's the sense of creating that sense of belonging and feeling safe in an environment.
Human rights include the right to housing, because housing is the foundation of everything. And without it, the very fabric of our society starts to disintegrate.
We've always had a belief that home is where we learn who we are. And so if we fail to have culturally safe and trauma-informed design and housing services, we often forget that this is about the human being in the home.